تحقيق قيمة العوائد المتوقعة من هذه الحالات المخالفة. فهو ما التعرفة ممكن إذا يعني ما هي من اختصاص شركة اليرموك وهي غير مش في مجال المشروع اللي احنا فيه. الثاني سؤال كان يتعلق بتغطية التكلفة. كمان احنا زي ما قلت لك احنا مشروعنا فقط هو لتحسين الإيرادات وما يتعلق بضبط الحالات المخالفة وتحسين الإيرادات من هذا المنطلق، يعني انه نعمل داتابيس للإخوان في شركة اليرموك حتى انهم يتابعوا الحالات المخالفة بدون التعرض للتكلفة تغطية التكلفة لهاي المصاريف.
بس حتى في البرزنتيشن بتاع حضرتك من ضمن العناصر اللي شغالين عليها.
لا احنا اذا انت انتبهت للعناصر ما هي يعني هي 6 كيسز.
انا في الوقت انا راح اجاوبك سريعا جدا. This is not a project, this is a contract. This Mr. Ahmed is working for a joint venture of companies who are the contract is based on increasing the revenues within the existing laws. يعني بالعربي هو وظيفتهم فقط رفع التحصيلات مقابل المخالفات في الصرف الصحي. ما لهم علاقة هم في قضايا شركة مياه اليرموك الأخرى من تخفيض نفقات ورفع إيرادات. في عندهم برامج. سيد أشرف.
موضوع التعرفة يعني حكم فيه الحكومة إنها لا نرفع سيادية لا نرفع ولا اللي موجود بنشتغل عليه.
طب دور الشركة حضرتك فيها مش في مقترح بيطلع من الشركة بدراسة يقترح كتعريفة؟
تكلفة إنتاج المياه أو الرسوم كلها معروفة يعني لدى الوزارة عندنا وبتم مناقشتها بمجلس الوزراء، لكن هذا الموضوع مش شغل الشركة. احنا بيجينا رسوم محددة وبنشتغل بناء عليها. موضوع رفع التعرفة او انه اللي يصير فيها زيادة هذا بده قرار مجلس وزراء. موضوعنا في عقد تم توقيعه مع اكوا بالائتلاف مع كونسلتنت اللي هو ارابتك جرداني بدعم من الجي اي زد. شركة مياه اليرموك في إلها خلينا نسميها يعني فلوس مرمية بالشارع مش مبينة. هذول واجبهم انهم يعرفوا وين هي ويجمعوا لنا اياها، يخاطبونا ليهم نسبة على الاشي اللي هم بيجمعوه. يعني انا كمواطن بشترك بالبداية بمنزل 200 متر، بجوز بعد 5 سنوات يصير منزلي 400 500. هذا الحكي ما بتتابعوا شركة مياه اليرموك، هم مسؤولين حاليا يقولوا لنا وين في بيوت زادت مساحتها ممكن انا احصل من وراها يعني مبالغ ماليه.
اوكي
نعم. هم مش بيساعدوا في زياده الاعمار، هم بيقوموا بمهمه موكله لهم من حضرتك.
بالضبط.
هذا كونتراكت عطاء مده زمنيه محدده
2 نعم.
شو بتحصل زياده على النسبه الحاليه بياخذوا هم جزء من هذه التحصيلات. لما ينتهي مده العطاء جود باي، شركه مياه اليرموك يا اما بتجدد او تكمل لوحدها، وهذا يقع ضمن ما يعرف بالاوت سورسينج كونتراكتس، هو استئجار خدمات. يمكن اليرموك يعملوا ولا نفسهم، بس الامكانيات استاجروا خدمات هذول الجماعه. ثانك يو. سيد محمد.
سيد محسن، سياسه التعرفه المائيه الفلسطينيه تحدد التعرفه ب4 فئات، وبنفس الوقت تحدد انواع الاستخدامات سواء كان زراعي صناعي تجاري وغيره. فهذا في السياسه موجود، ولكن في بعض مقدمي الخدمات وجدوا قبل وجود السلطه الفلسطينيه، فهدول تعرفتهم ما زالت لسه لم يتم مراجعتها. اول مانديت ايشو للمجلس اللي انا فيه مراجعه التعرفه والمسابقه عليها. بدهاش قرار مجلس الوزراء، مجلس الوزراء اعطاني المانديت انه اراجع واقر التعرفه حسب ما نرتقيه بحساب التكاليف بما يتماشى مع سياسه التعرفه الفلسطينيه. لحد هسه راجعنا حوالي 50 تعرفه. البعض بيقول انه انا مستعد اراجع التعرفه فقط إذا صدر نظام تعرفي جديد وعم نشتغل عليه، بنتأمل خلال شهر يصدر نظام تعرفي جديد اللي عنها موجود سنة 2013. إذا صدر نظام تعرفي الجديد نتأمل أنه خلال سنة نراجع تعرفي لأكبر عدد ممكن من مقدمين الخدمات.
سيد محمد، في الشرح تاعك حكيت ان الكوست ريكفري 55% والتحصيلات 9%. انا ما ركبت معي.
يا الهي
اشرح لي اياها.
المشكلة انه معظم مقدمي الخدمات ما بدفعوا المستحقات اللي عليهم للسلطة الفلسطينية. السلطة تشتري المياه من اسرائيل وبتبيعها لمقدمين الخدمات. مديونية البلديات لدائرة المياه الغربية 1,300,000,000 شيكل. كل دولار بيساوي 3.5 شيكل. هلا المديونية لمقدمي الخدمات على المواطنين 1,600,000,000. ليش؟ لأنه الفلوس مدفوعة أساسا من السلطة. يعني السلطة تكون بالدفع نيابة عن المواطن، أو مش بالدفع، هي إسرائيل تقتطع من المقاصة مباشرة، فإحنا أحسن زبون عند إسرائيل لم تأخذ مباشرة من الضريبة. فهنا وقعت المشكلة، إنه تقريبا في غزة المياه مجانية، ما في مواطن بدفع. أحسن نسبة تحصيل في غزة 12-15%. في بلديات بتحصلش بالمرة زيرو، حتى فيش عندهم نظام تعرفة، لما بقول لك هي السلطة دافعة. بالفعل هذا المعضلة هون، إنه المواطن مركن على السلطة.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we move to the second part of our session today. With us here today.
هذه المنصة من تحكمات.
تفضل. إذا في سؤال سريع.
لا ما هو في سريع.
خلاص. بالآخر. Okay. Our next speaker is Miss Samantha Yates. By the way, Miss Samantha Yates is originally from Australia, from the far end of the world. Welcome here. And she work in Australia and UK as well. Looking to her CV, I'll not be able to talk about it. She is doing NGOs, writing. She is an author, by the way. In addition to technical expert, consultant, all kinds of things that you may imagine, and work in many countries. I have here a number of 100. Is that right? So, knowing 100 countries, this is by itself a great experience. Currently, Ms. Samantha Yates is the Secretary General of the Global Water Leaders Group. This is a large NGO, and I think they are giving a look to the water sector and finances and in the infrastructure and all that. The other speaker who will follow, please, will be Mr. Ahmed Al-Azzam. Mr. Ahmed Al-Azzam is actually an owner of Allied Business Advisors. I don't know, you need to read there. Originally he's an accountant. He have all kinds of certificates, CPA, CMA, I don't know this and that. And he have a master degree as well in business administration, I guess. Business administration. He is a consultant who worked in more than 10 countries, including Canada, USA, UK, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Lebanon, etc., etc. And I know that he is an excellent financial expert. By that, we hope to learn from you. Please, Ms. Yates. We need to...
Should be open down the bottom.
Yeah, I close this just, and this as well, yeah. All right.
It should be open, hopefully, down the bottom. That one?
Excellent.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you, Chairman, for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time in Jordan, and it looks like a fantastic country. I'm going to have to go back on holiday, I think. As you've just heard, my name is Samantha. I'm the Secretary General of the Global Water Leaders Group. We're a non-profit organisation, and our aim is to create a better story for water, focusing on urban water. So most of our members are utilities, and we also have some ministers involved in our operations as well, to get that policymaker to operator interface. When I was invited to speak and told the theme of the session, I thought, wow, that's a big theme, and how am I going to tackle this in 15 or so minutes? So what I've created here in this presentation is actually quite a sort of high helicopter level sort of review of some of the research that we produced over the last couple of years. So, you know, I suppose contextually it may have gone better towards the beginning, but hopefully it will also fit quite well here now that you've heard about some of the more practical projects, and you can see where they fit into this milieu. So I'm just going to start out with a general global scoping of the situation. What are the financial challenges being faced by some of our utility members? Reviewing the spiral of performance. Yesterday, if you were in the opening sessions, the lady from the World Bank was talking about this, about the virtuous circle of performance. So I will dip into that a little bit as well. And then how you can use that virtuous circle to build bankability within the utility. And then there's a little teaser towards the end about this new initiative that we're forming at the Global Water Leaders Group called the Urban Water Catalyst Fund, and that will tie it all together. So the situation. When I talk to our utility members about their financial challenges and their challenges in general, they say that there's not enough money. And we feel through our continued research that water and finance are at a turning point. Historically, and I think we've heard some themes through today's session and throughout the whole conference, public finance and utility finance have been almost indistinguishable. But the global financial crisis, and I was talking with some new colleagues at lunch about this, has really put pressure on governments to really sort of draw back on their spending. In the UK, the buzzword is austerity. And so a lot of governments are not able to put the same amount of money into their local utilities as perhaps they used to. So there's that kind of pressure on one side. At the same time, a lot of utilities are experiencing aging infrastructure, leading to non-revenue water through leakage. Another challenge is the fact that wastewater treatment and collection is no longer able to be a luxury in a lot of developing world cities as well, where the priority has historically been just to focus on the clean water, on the drinking water side. And then across the world's arid regions, and I think the MENA region is a typical example, where scarcity is forcing investment in new water resources as well. And we've heard a little bit about desalination and water reuse contributing to those new sources. Then, of course, we have the global political agenda with the Sustainable Development Goals, which are creating that horizon deadline of 2030, where we all need to have met goal number 6 for water and sanitation. Then global climate change is another macro issue that we're all having to deal with droughts and floods, and I understand Oman experienced a flood very recently as well as an example of that, forcing more investment in urban resilience, which I think we heard about in yesterday's opening session as well. And then there are also growing consumer concerns about regulation and enforcement of environmental controls. So, for example, where rivers and other water resources are causing health concerns in local communities. So this has created a bit of a tension between the decreasing funds that have come from typical sources like governments, and yet the inevitability of this investment that needs to happen in the water sector. So utilities are increasingly need to look at ways of self-funding and creating their own financial independence. So I've touched on a few of these things already, but there are 4 significant things that make finance in the water sector special. One is the capital intensity. Another is the longevity of assets. So a number of our member utilities have pipes in the ground that are around 100 or 150 years old, which of course leads to a lot of difficulties in terms of non-revenue water. The extent of political control, again, this is a very strong theme at this conference, and the inevitability of investment. We can't get away from the fact that we need to invest in water. So there's a little chart just at the bottom of the screen here, which is a demonstration of the capital intensity in utility services. And this has come from a recent report we did in Water and Finance. And it's just to demonstrate all of the different utility sectors that a typical city would have. So gas supply actually is the lowest capital intensity, followed by telecoms, then power, then water only, and water and sewer is the most capital intensive. So if you're the head of a utility that is doing both water and sewer, you have to become really smart about how to do more with less. And I interviewed, she at the time was the Minister for Water in Uganda a few years ago. Her name was Betty Bigombe, and I think she was coming to the end of the term in her role. And she was very honest with me in an interview I did with her. She said, "I'm going to be very honest and frank about this. One of the major problems we have is political interference. Sorry, water challenges relate to the shortfalls between policy and practice." And she also elaborated about why that was the case. And there were 4 hurdles that she could note that are the political realities of the situation. One is the water management timeline. So we're looking at something that needs to be renewable and sustainable over a long period. Forever, in fact, if we want to stay alive. But that is contrasted very sharply with the political timelines. So people are only in office for a few years, if that. And then there's the parameter asymmetry. So the conceptual horizon of some politicians does not coincide with the parameters of prudent water resource management in some cases. And then lastly, she mentioned the instability challenges, and those can be political and social, leading to difficulties and additional challenges with stagnation and the collapse of infrastructure. So this is another chart from one of our other pieces of research about the global and regional water investment requirement from last year to the SDG horizon, which is 2030. I've put some little stars next to the MENA region so you can see that. But basically what you can see from this is the Middle East and North Africa are going to have to more than double their investment to 2030 if the Sustainable Development Goals are going to be met. This is the slide about the virtuous cycle of performance. Again, as I started out saying, there's money there, but there are not enough bankable projects. So looking at how to become bankable, this is often a good first step. So I think the lady from the World Bank yesterday was touching on this, and she was saying, you know, if you have low billings, then you're not charging enough people, and then if you have low collections, you're not covering your OPEX, and if you're not covering your OPEX, then your service is going to decline, and your customers are going to be unhappy, and they're not going to be willing to pay what you're already charging them, and the cycle continues. Whereas what we're recommending is actually flipping that. So you measure what you manage. Becoming bankable means you know who your customers are, you know how much you're charging them, you send them a bill, you follow up the bill, and there are repercussions if not. But then you make sure once you have all your collections, you're covering your OPEX, your customers become happier, etc. The cycle continues. So we've heard a little bit about what the political situation is, but also I thought I would include some notes from other potential financial investors. Obviously, the donor community is quite strongly represented at this conference. And in our research, I've summarized what they have recommended for utilities to where to start to become bankable. So speaking to the virtuous cycle of performance, improving collection rates, and that can include the use of prepaid systems and other tools. Campaigning, so improving stakeholder communications to improve the willingness of consumers to pay for this good of water. I'm originally from a marketing background in my studies and in practice as well, and that is something that is very close to my heart, understanding how to talk to your local community, and each community will be very different from the next. So no communication strategy is completely replicable, but it is important to understand how to talk about water pricing and where that money is going. Next, a suggestion also from the donors was to ensure the reliability of supply, again building that confidence in the community that it's going to be there and the service is reliable. Also implementing measures to improve technical standards of equipment, so what are you using and how reliable is that equipment? And lastly, using an effective distribution process. On the commercial finance side, the investors tend to make the following recommendations. Building a strong track record of performance and improving and achieving your key performance indicators. We're starting to see some more themes coming through here. Presenting a healthy financial position, and I think for this also you can see phrases like net worth,